To order. I think the first business, of course, is to look at the minutes. To hear a motion to accept the minutes.
So moved.
And I see a second.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the minutes are accepted. We'll go right into the Latimer Lane project. And we'll hear from Arcadis first.
Good evening, everyone. Throughout the month of September, construction continued. As many of you saw on site today, things are progressing well. O&G will further review the upcoming activities and what's been completed. Overall, there's been no major budget changes. We've expended 40.5% of the overall budget and 43.3% of the owner's contingency. In addition to proving change orders and invoices as usual, we have included some purchase order requests for the phone system, moving costs, and additional shelving needed, which will all need a motion for approval, which we can do later once we get to the other things on the agenda. And that is all I have for tonight. Any questions?
Any questions from the committee for Zach? Okay, we'll move on to Tecton.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Justin Hopkins, Tecton Architects. My apologies for not being able to join you on the walkthrough this afternoon. I myself was also at another meeting, so happy to meet anybody out there that needs to have another tour as well. So in your packet, you should have received our construction administration summary for the month of September. Total construction RFIs new in September 11 for a total of 184. Total new submittals in September 10 for a total of 404. We do have application for payment number 10 for approval this evening. And this, as you'll know, we're starting to get into the area where we, if you think of the cost as a bell curve, where at the beginning your monthly invoices are not as high, at the end your monthly invoices are not as high. We're firmly in the middle where we have substantial applications for payment, and that's commensurate with the stuff that's going out on site. We also issued, we held a number of meetings, including our biweekly OAC meetings, some field review meetings, as well as our biweekly FF&E meeting and some pre-installation meetings. So as subcontractors are preparing some of their installations, for instance, the gymnasium flooring pre-installation meeting was held last week. So we are attending those meetings as they come up for pre-install. Beyond that, I'm sure when we get into PCO approvals, et cetera, we will answer any questions as those come up.
Okay, thank you, Justin. Any questions from anybody on the committee at this point? Okay, we're good. We'll go to O&G for their monthly report.
Good evening. It was nice seeing everyone this afternoon with the tour.
Hello, Jay. Nice to see you again.
Good to see you. Just give a quick update of where we are and where we're heading over the next month. So phase 1A has a substantial completion date of November 30th of 2023 with a December 1st turnover to the school. And phase 1B has the same as last month, December 8th, substantial completion date. Currently for phase 1, we're about 57% complete. And phase 2 and phase 3 are still have not started. We did minimal work over the summer, but that's about it. Phase 1A, the MEP ceiling roof is complete. The ceiling grid is complete. Prime painting is complete. Glazing is complete. And the millwork is ongoing. He has a few items left, like the window sills. Flooring has commenced. The bathroom floor tile and wall tile has commenced. Lockers were completed last week, And the MEP finishes are ongoing and will continue once the bathroom tile is complete. And also the toilet partitions will also start. For phase 1B, the storefront and curtain wall is complete with the glazing finishing up. The acoustical ceiling grid is complete, prime painting is complete, and the flooring will start this month. The gym equipment is the hoops are in and the pads are ongoing. Once we get the floor in, we'll finish putting those in. Speaking of the gym floor is scheduled to start on October 9th, so this month. Met on the exterior, the metal panels are ongoing. They'll be completed this month, and also the polycarbonate panels, the two larger sets of windows in the gym. Those have started and will be completed this month. The bathroom wall and floor tile will start this month with the lockers, and then the MEP finishes will start. Just a couple things to note. The permanent power is going to be finalized on Thursday. We had the transformer set, and we'll have Eversource out here on Thursday to get the power up and running. And this will start our kitchen start up. And when the DOAs arrive soon, we'll be able to start them up. Still tracking the October 22nd for the generator to ship. We did have a little news, not so good news last week with the transfer switch being delayed, but we were able to do a workaround, and we have a change. We're not presenting in this package, but we're working on it to get the ATS resolved. And this will allow the HVAC equipment to be energized for the phase 1 turnover. For site work, the line striping is complete. The plantings have started and trees are going in, and the signage is complete. And then just to give a contingency update, there's $723,298 left in the CM contingency. And that's the update.
Okay, Jay. Thank you. Any quick questions before we get into change orders for Jay from any members of the committee?
No, but I will note one thing. The tour today helped put a lot of things in my mind in a way that when I hear the various reports, they all now make a lot more sense. So thank you for that tour today.
Well, I'm glad you're able to be there. And as they said before, additional tours are up for grabs in the future because it's a complicated job. And I think it's worth people getting out there and taking a close look at things. Okay, so why don't we move on to, just before we do the change orders, I'd like to do the purchase orders, which are a little different. And we can start with the first one. And I'm not sure if Tecton is going to jump in here with an explanation of this, or if Jason wants to jump in here with this. This is a change order, I believe, for $39,000 and change. Tecton, telecommunication.
I'll start, but Jason, you can jump in as well. This is not a change order. This is a technology purchase. The bulk of the FF&E and technology is going to be procured for installation in August of 2024. This is a technology purchase to enable the phase 1 turnover. And it is the bulk of the telephones, if I'm not mistaken, Jason.
Yes.
Okay, so just for the members of the committee, kind of explain why this is different than our typical change order. Where is this money coming from? And what's the sequence of events that are going to be happening, Jason?
So it is part of the FF&E technology purchase. We're doing this a little early because we're bringing classrooms online in the beginning of December. In order to do that, we need to purchase the entire phone system. We can't really run two different phone services during the school year. It's one or the other. So we're bringing this in a little ahead of the normal technology package, just to make sure we have that life safety equipment in the entire building with those new rooms coming online.
And just to be clear, that this money that we're talking about is already in our budget. We're just making a final decision to spend that money.
Correct.
Okay.
It does need to be noted just from the minutes that this cost is ineligible due to typically you have to bring it to the state before, can go to the PBC. So this cost will be ineligible.
Well, if it's purchased by then, right now we're talking about getting a letter of intent to the phone provider. So they'll get the order in to make sure that with the lead times, we'll be able to get a November installation date. So there is still a chance to have that PCR review with the state for eligibility. And even if this is purchased ahead of that review, this may be an instance of this is the technology we purchased and get approval after the fact. Worst case scenario, we're talking about a $40,000 purchase that could potentially miss its 30 some odd % reimbursement. But the issue at stake is we have classrooms coming on in December. So that's the risk that we need to take.
I would also add that approximately half of this cost is not in the hardware, it's in the software and licensing, and will be ineligible anyway for reimbursement.
Okay, all right. I'd like to put it to the committee if we would like to put a motion out there to approve this so we can get the classrooms on board.
I'll move to approve the Connecticut Communications Purchase Agreement dated September 28th, 2023 in the amount of $39,888.
Second.
I hear the second. Thank you. From Mike Egan. Any other further discussion? All those in favor?
I had,
I'm
Mr.
sorry,
Chairman,
Ryan. Yes,
I just had a question. So
Ryan, go ahead.
the reimbursement question, I'm supportive of approving this package, but it is a little concerning that we may be giving up between $6,000 and $12,000 because we didn't get enough lead time on this. This should have been somewhat foreseeable. So I'm hoping that if there's something like this in the future, that we're looking a little further down the line, because this seems like the town's just giving up money because we didn't have our eye on the ball.
Well, the town's giving up money because the state's not returning our phone calls. If DAS had done the reviews by now, we wouldn't be in this position.
So,
Okay, so we submitted the request for this a while back and they didn't approve it. That's the issue.
Yes, and we're still efforting getting this this meeting to get a early procurement technology purchase. So as Jason said, the strategy was to get the letter of intent to get this queued up and ideally within the next week or 2 weeks, we are able to establish this meeting.
Okay,
With that,
thank you.
would the fact that they didn't respond to us in time give us any leverage in trying to persuade them to make it reimbursable?
We will try.
Thank you.
okay. I think everyone's done their due diligence on this and we're kind of waiting on the state is really what it sounds like. So any other questions? Hearing no other questions, I'd like to move the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. We'll move on to the next. Again, not change order. This is a purchase. And I believe, Jason, you could take it from here because this is relative to the one we just voted on.
Similar in that it's a purchase. This piece is a moving expense, and there is a line item in the budget for this. So Zach may be able to speak better to this than I
Yeah.
about the order of operation here.
Yep, so there's already a line item in the budget for moving expenses. This cost is just to approve an estimate that would be pulled from that line item for both moving supplies and moving services. The just under $13,000 is estimated to cover all of the supplies needed for both the early December turnover and then also the late December turnover. And then in addition, the supplies can also be a lot of the supplies will also be able to be reused in moves, come next summer and later in the year.
Okay. Any other questions about this purchase or expenditure? Looking for a motion to move this forward.
I'll move to approve the Myers quote or estimate number 55917 dated September 12th, 2023, in the amount of $12,000 and $12,893.
Yeah, a second.
Second, John, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. The third purchase is in the amount of $5,000. And that's with Home Depot. Perhaps, Jason, you can explain this.
I can talk to this one as well. So
Thank you.
it's a little bit different because we don't have an estimate or a quote from Home Depot for the shelving material, but we're asking for a not to exceed number of $5,000 for the purchase of shelving that will be used both in phases 2 and 3, and then also be permanently used either in the basement or the gym storage area upon completion. So this shelving is needed in the temporary spaces for the art room, and then it'll also, like I said, be used permanently down the road. So this is needed for the turnover come December.
Okay, I have a question about, are these pre-assembled shelves, Zach, or are they going to be assembled by somebody on site? How's that work?
Mike might be able to speak to whether I would say that they're coming unassembled and that they'll have to be assembled on site.
They're, Mr. Chairman, they're unassembled shelves, but they're they're essentially the ones that lock in. So the assembly will go fairly quickly, and my custodial team would take care of that in advance of the transition.
So we have that covered. So all we're doing is not to exceed
Absolutely.
$12,000 for the material. Okay, great.
Thank you.
Okay, looking for a motion after that clarification.
I'll move to approve an amount not to exceed $5,000 for the purchase of shelving from Home Depot.
Okay, 3 for 3, David. Thank you. And we'll go with the second is that from John? Did you
It's from
second
Mike.
that? Oh, Mike. Okay, Mike. Egan, you seconded that? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Hearing any opposed? Hearing none, that purchase is approved also. Okay, so we'll go from purchases to our typical change orders. Change order number 81. We'll start with that.
Okay. The first one is PCO 81, and this is for labor, materials, and equipment to install CMU at the entry stair per RFI 122, and it's in the amount of $1,686.
Any questions from the committee? Any comments? How about a motion from somebody?
So moved.
Okay. that
I'll
was quick.
second.
Okay, Ryan, did you make that motion?
I did.
You did. And who seconded it?
Bill
I
Clegg.
second.
Bill Clegg. Okay, thank you, Bill. All right.
Well,
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion passes. CPO number 88.
The next one's PCO 88, and this is to provide labor, materials, and equipment for modifications to the water line and meter location per Bolton 20R, which was per Aquarion. The design team was going back and forth with Aquarion, and it had to make some changes.
Now, is there another change order that has to do with Aquarium?
Yes, it was
The
the
next one
gate.
is
The gate valve.
95. So
Yes.
they're interrelated.
Yes.
Okay, all right. You want to explain that one as well, so we can kind of grab them together? We can vote on them separately, but I just want people to understand how they're related.
Yeah, so the PCO 95 is to switch out the gate valve per Aquarian standards. The gate valve was installed, and then when they came out for the inspection, they required a different hand open gate. So we had to purchase and switch it out. So we
Excuse me,
took
Jay.
this, yes.
Did they not tell us what we had to do? Because this isn't the first one. We had another one, I think, where they made a change in the water line. I mean, it just seems like they come out for the inspection, then they tell us what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, fortunately. Yeah.
No, the other one was a sewer line, I believe, correct? The sewer
Yeah,
line.
Yeah, this is the first water line.
This
Yeah,
is not the same as the health district.
Oh, I thought there was one that Aquarian.
No,
There was one
this is the
with
first
fire
Aquarian.
service too,
I thought it
right?
was the sprinkler, the fire protection.
oh, the 2200.
Yeah, the fireman's.
Yeah, way
logs,
back.
Or fireman's. Yeah, but yeah, it just seems like it's surprising to me that they're changing their mind every time, you turn around. So, okay.
Well, I guess the question is, what did we have in the bid, the drawings, and what's the value of that versus what we're getting now?
Well, this was installed. It sounds like this was installed and they came out and said they wanted a left hand instead of a right hand.
Yes. Yeah,
That
that's
is the CM contingency item. The
Yes.
PCO 88 was the result. What is in the drawings is one water main coming into the site and then branching between fire protection and domestic at the location of the building. What they requested was 2 lines coming from the street separating fire service and domestic. At the end of that conversation, we're reutilizing we scoped and verified the elevation of the existing domestic water line. We're reusing that and providing a new fire service line in. But then there were a bunch of piping internal to the building and the water meter that changed as a result of that methodology. So this was something that, and my apologies for not having the civil engineer or the plumbing engineer on here, though they both had conflicts. This is, they would be able to speak to this a little bit better. But what was on the drawings reviewed as part of the submission sets and the coordination, it was different when we actually got out into the field for execution.
So Justin, what you're saying is that the plan that was literally on the plan was changed to accommodate their site visits insofar as separating the water line, fire suppression versus domestic, kind of got this whole thing going.
Yes, and it all started with the paperwork that is required for submission. So I see Tom Roy is on here. Tom, I don't know if you can speak a little bit more intelligently to this than I can.
Well, I think I'm not 100% sure what happened on this particular one, but I know what happens a lot of times is within Aquarian Water's entire system, they have different areas that are either left turn open or right turn open. And with Simsbury having been village water and Aquarian having taken it over, it may have been some level of confusion there. That's my best guess. But I think the big thing is this is coming out of CM contingency, not out of the town necessarily, which helps. But I think I would say I share the committee's frustration with these communication challenges.
So basically, we put the paperwork in, we do our due diligence with the paperwork, we get the paperwork correct. And then after the fact, we find out that they don't want it that way. They want it this way or the other way.
That can happen.
And I'm not saying that's unusual or shocking, but that's the reality between the fire suppression and the reality now with the Aquarian water. Okay, so I'm not sure if there's anything that we can do except complain in unison, but that's about it.
You're right.
Okay. So hearing all of that, I'd like to move PCO 88 forward. Do I have a motion? This
So
is
moved.
$16,088.
88.
And do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, all right, fine. All
I
those
have
in,
a question about the two.
yes,
Given that they seem to be related, how come they're being pulled from two different funding sources?
The first one is more of a kind of a design issue with Aquarian, and then the second issue is more of a field issue since we had installed it and we're working with the field side of Aquarian. So we figured to come out of two different pots.
If that's the case, then I think it should be tracked as a design issue.
I don't disagree in some ways, because you can throw it onto the pile of design issues that, don't work out quite the way we want. But I think what Tecton is trying to say is that they designed it according to the information that they had, put it forward, and it was accepted on paper. And now later they're coming out and saying that we want you to do it differently.
Yeah, I'm not faulting the designer. I just think if we have a system for how we track things, it should stay consistent.
Justin?
I think we have a couple of different codes. One is, regulatory agencies, one's unforeseen, one's errors and omissions, which is typically what we lump in with designer changes.
So
Correct.
are you saying this is owner's error? I'm not saying that. This is.
I'm not saying that this is
regulatory.
owner's error,
This is owner's error or regulatory?
regulatory.
It's regulatory. Okay, so this would be tracked as regulatory. Okay, all right.
It gets tracked as other due to the fact that it's not it doesn't fall under either the owner's, it wasn't the owner's fault, it wasn't the designer's fault, it wasn't the construction manager's fault. So we track that as other, in that way there it separates out.
Okay,
It wasn't, pinpointed to somebody specifically.
okay, all right, very good. Any other follow-up questions? All those in favor, change order number 88?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. That change order moves forward and we're accepted. We'll go to change order 95. I'm looking for a motion on that. We've discussed it already.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, so thank you, Mike. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we move on to PCO 101. Jay.
All right, PCO 101 is to furnish labor, material, equipment for lowering the ceiling and adding chases in bathrooms 204 and 205 per RFI 154. And this is the amount of $1,221.
Any questions?
Why do we lower the ceiling?
It's an existing stormwater pipe relationship with the existing structure. If I'm not mistaken, Lucian, this happened in a couple of other locations where the stormwater piping was not as it was indicated, and in some areas we boxed out in a chase this existing vertical pipe. In this location, we had to lower the ceilings. And I forget, I can tell you in a minute what we lowered them to. Forget it was 8 feet and two toilet rooms.
7'8".
7'8". Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. I think there's a motion on the table. Am I correct?
There is.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we move on to PCO 103 in the amount of $2,802.
Yep, so the next one's PCO 103 R1. And this is to revise the bench at the ramp from concrete to cold form metal framing. And also there was some additional millwork in the lower portion of the bench that was added. So this is actually a combination of some dollars taken out of CM contingency and then the balance coming out of the owner's contingency. The CM contingency part is the switch from cold form metal frame, concrete to cold form metal framing, and then the owner's contingency would be the additional millwork to the bench. So the net add to the change is $2,802.
And why did we make this change from the original to the?
From the concrete to cold form?
Yes.
The design documents were missing some of the rebar design for that. So we just, instead of going through and paying to redetail the rebar and to purchase rebar, and just figured it'd be quicker to install the cold form metal framing.
And Tecton's okay with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, some of the other additions were updates to the millwork and the vertical facing where the concrete was left exposed in the
Okay.
design. We're providing some additional millwork there.
Okay, all right. I'm good with that. Thank you.
Yep.
Looking for a motion.
Yeah, so moved.
Thank you,
Seconded,
John. And somebody seconded it.
I did.
Thank you, David. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, we move on to PCO 106R.
PCO 106 R1. This is to install carpeting that was removed during the phase 2 utility work when we did the under slab work down the corridor and into some of the classrooms. We just put the some of the carpet back to make the appearance look nice for these next few months for the students. So we had a phasing allowance, so it came out of there. So the amount was $5,235, and then we took it out of the allowance, so it's a net zero.
So we're going to replace that later with something else, or is that final?
No, it's going to get replaced.
Right, eventually. Okay.
But,
So it's just
but we had saw cut right down into the rooms, and
right,
it didn't look nice.
right. Got it. Any other questions? I'll look for a motion quickly
So
So
moved.
moved.
in a second. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we move on to change order 109 in zero amount, but you can explain, Jay.
Yep. So this is similar to the previous one at the bench. We were looking to change the concrete curb that's in the corridor 133 from concrete to cold form metal framing. And this was reviewed and approved in RFI 109. So it's a CM contingency item to switch it, and it's going to be net zero to the project.
Any questions?
Yeah, just why did we switch that? I mean, obviously the cold floor frame seems to be more expensive than the concrete, which we already owned. I was curious, what was the driver?
Again, it was the detailing and the purchase of the rebar and getting procuring the rebar. So it was just a quicker option to do the cold form.
It was a sequencing as well. Yeah, forming up concrete for inside the building. I mean, that's my understanding.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. It seems so. It's 6 times the difference to do it in metal framing as it is in concrete. It's sometimes that.
Well, we
seems a lot, but all right.
Well, we had reviewed this during scope review with the concrete contractor, and he had told us at the time, and we documented that he only carried the concrete portion since there was no rebar shown and there was no rebar in the rebar shops, that's why the credit portion is a little smaller, because there was the installation, the iron workers, all that was not included in his bid. So all
Okay.
that would have had to been purchased.
Yeah, it seems a little disproportionate, but it's fine. I'll go with it.
No, who drafted the rebar prints?
It was Alvarez through Tecton.
And that goes back to that whole scenario with trying to do the rebarb
Yep.
specs ahead of time or something. Is that part of
Yep.
that?
Excuse me, Rich. There's not a lot of rebar in the curve. Yes, I wouldn't think. I didn't see the drawings. I don't know, but I wouldn't think there's a lot of rebar in the curve. But I mean, that's fine. I mean, obviously, that's the credit he's giving you if you're accepting it. I'll go with it.
Again, I have a question. It seems like PCO
Mike.
3 and PCO 109 are very similar issues, but they're being pulled from two different funding sources. Is there a reason for that?
No,
I'll jump in here, Jay. In the 103 R1, that is at the location of a bench, where as part of that change, we modified some of the millwork that's associated with the bench. And in PCO 0106 R1, PCO 109, there's no millwork that's associated with the curb.
Okay.
So you said this is in the courtyard, right?
Corridors.
It's within the building.
Corridor. It's in the building. Okay.
We have a couple of elevation changes within the building that we are providing additional ramping to. And as part of that, we, in some of the existing and new conditions, we're providing a curb alongside of the ramp. And in one area, it's a seat. In another area, it's just simply a curb.
Other questions? People seem to be kind of okay, a little uncomfortable with this, but overall okay, I guess. So where are we, John?
Oh, I'm fine with it.
You're good?
It just seems like the credit is a little light compared to the cost of the. I mean, what's the lineal footage of it? I guess in 80 feet. You got the track. You got 160 feet of track. I guess what is that? How many lineal feet of it?
I think it was around 80 feet.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you think that is, he's giving us a good number here for this credit?
Yes, we went back and forth with them. We reviewed the scope review meeting minutes, and recalled some discussions we had at bid time with him.
Mm-hmm. So it's just a lot of little things that just, kind of got in the way, and he's given us the best he can based on the information he had at the time of bid.
Yes.
Right. Okay, well, I think we've talked it, not to death, but we've talked it for a while. Anybody else have any last questions here? I'll look for a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, David.
Second.
Thank you, Mike. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Jay. We'll move on to PCO number 110, another zero.
Yes,
cost,
PCO,
meaning-
PCO 110 is to mow the grass throughout the construction area before the students came back this school year. Wanted to look presentable for the students and the staff. So we kind of went into the courtyards and the different areas around the construction area and mowed it. So it's a contingency item because we did not purchase that at bid time, and it's a net zero to the project.
Thank you. I'll look for a motion for this.
So moved.
second,
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. We'll go to PCO number 115.
PCO 115 is for electrical demo that was not identified on the contract documents, not purchased at bid time. So again, it's a CM contingency item. And then the electrical contractor is $2,270, but it's net zero to the project.
Now, the contingency that we have left, $750,000, I believe is what you said at the beginning of the meeting, Jay.
Yeah, 723.
723.
Yeah.
How's that, again, insofar as Arcadis is concerned, how's that looking? Are we still kind of on track with expectations for these kinds of unforeseen costs? Because it wasn't picked up in the documents, so I mean, you know, we got to pay for it. But the point is that how is the contingency looking?
Jay, the percent of contingency burn versus the percent complete, we're further drawn on the amount complete, right?
Yes.
Right. So just if you were to pace the contingency uses on construction,
Yes.
We're much further along with construction. And I'd say we've been in the existing building and have seen some of the stuff outside of the building. We're further along with the progress of the work than we've consumed that percentage of the contingency.
And I just asked the question because I think that it's good to hear it out loud every once in a while that we're doing okay, good. That's what you're saying.
That's noted for the construction manager's contingency, and there's nothing to be concerned about with the owner's contingency, but we're paced probably a little bit further ahead in the amount utilized out of the owner's contingency versus where we are in the project. But there's nothing to be concerned about at this point.
Okay, all right, very good. All right, I'll look for a motion for this.
so moved,
A second.
Second.
Thank you, Ryan. All those in favor?
aye,
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Getting close. PCO 116.
Okay, PCO 116 was some premium time for the demo contractor that we expedited for the phase 2 work over the summer in July. So it's a contingency item. So $1,201 for the demo contractor and coming out of CM contingency to a net zero to the project.
Thank you, Jay. Motion.
Yeah, so moved.
second,
Thank you, John, and Bill, I believe, for second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? PCO 117.
Okay, this is labor, materials, and equipment to final clean the phase 2 summer work. As we've been talking about, we did over the summer, the phase 2 work. So this is coming out of the phasing and safety allowance. So it was $4,347 to the final cleaner and coming out of the phasing allowance for a net zero to the project.
Okay, thank you, Jay. Looking for a motion.
so moved,
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Ryan. All those in favor? Aye.
aye,
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we go to, I think, the last PCO number 120.
Yes, PCO 120 is revisions to the door hardware per bolt at 23, and it's a credit of $504.
Nice to hear about credits. Looking for emotion.
Yeah, so moved.
Thank you.
second,
And second, David. Okay, great. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Hearing none opposed, it passes. So I think that takes care of all of the change orders. Anybody have any last minute questions about the change orders that we just talked about? Before we move on to invoices. We can start with Arcadis's invoice in the amount of $12,318. Invoice number 343-90821. and it is dated September 27th. Looking for a motion to accept and make
So
payment.
moved. So moved.
John,
Second,
second is from who?
Dave.
Dave. Thank you, Dave. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Hearing none opposed, the payment is approved. Tecton. The amount of $27,598. Invoice date is 9/26/2023. Invoice number 46619. I'll look for a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, David.
Second.
Second, Mike. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none. The motion passes and we'll submit that invoice for payment. Tri-State only has one invoice. I'm shocked. And for $97. I mean, this is, I don't know. I'll read it into the minutes. Okay. Invoice number TSMT 12578. Date is 9/23/2023. Motion,
So moved.
David, thank you.
Second.
Second, Bill. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. And then we have Myers in the amount of $90.24. August 31st, 2023 is the invoice date. The invoice number is 220-049-270.
So
Motion,
moved. So moved.
Second.
thank you both. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes and we move to the final invoice, which is from O&G. Application number 10 dated 9/30/2023, in the amount of $907,140.38. Looking for a
So
motion.
moved.
Thank you, John.
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Bill. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you very much. I believe that brings us to a close, so to speak, for the meeting. Anybody have any other comments or other information they want to share with the committee? Hearing none, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second,
Second.
second by Bill. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.